Hello there. In this set of videos, I'm going to go through a data set and kind of show you a couple things of what you can do in Tableau. So as the title indicates, we're going to be doing analysis on dangerous driving in the United States. I have this data set, and if you open it up, it's going to be a lot more crunched up, but this is I widen it so we can understand what our data is trying to tell us, which is very key when you're trying to do any sort of analysis. Okay, so this is a CSV file, and this is information collected from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. A lot of these columns contain data from 2012, but others, like the percentage of drivers who were involved in fatal collisions who were speeding, is taken from 2009. Car insurance premiums from 2011, and losses incurred by insurance company for collisions per insured driver is from 2010. It's kind of aggregated, so it's the most recent in this data set, so they try to bundle it all together, and this is what we got. So let's try to understand it first. Okay, so looks like we have a column for each state in the United States. This looks pretty clean here, nothing wrong. This column right here is saying per billion miles driven. This is saying per state the number of drivers that are involved in fatal collisions. So in Alabama, it's about 18.8 people or drivers involved in fatal collisions. We have a couple other columns that are represented as percentages, and these percentages kind of tell us what were the causes of these fatal accidents. So this column is telling us that this is the percentage of fatal collisions that were caused by speeding, driving under the influence, or by alcohol impairment. And then this one's telling us by people who were in fatal collisions that were not distracted, so not using your phone or other things like that. Another one that tells us fatal collisions that were caused by people who hadn't been in a previous accident before. Then these last two columns have to do with insurance. Kind of interesting to add these in here, but could be useful in our analysis. So we just have average car insurance premiums per state and losses incurred by insurance companies for collisions per insured driver. I'm not sure if that's exclusive to fatal accidents like the rest of this data set. It could just be on average general accidents. Okay, hopefully that was a simple enough explanation of what this data set is trying to tell us. The next part of our analysis is asking the right questions. Okay, so we have these columns. Some were percentages of causes of accidents, some were talking about car insurance, and then we have it by state, and then overall the number of people involved in fatal accidents by state. So I want you to come up with a couple of questions that you can ask that you can answer actually with this data set. Okay, the first things first is you'll notice that the data set that we looked at only tracked fatal accidents and not just every single accident in the United States. If you have a data set like that you want to add to, feel free to do so. And if you feel like it's something you want to go into, go for it. So these are just a couple examples of questions that I asked that I want to have answered. So the first one is, how do states compare with fatal automobile accidents by cost? So I want to look at comparatively by state, speeding, distracted driving, and driving under the influence. You'll notice that the data set tells us not the percentage of distracted drivers, but the percentage of non-distracted drivers. So we're going to have to kind of play with our data just a little bit in order to get what we want in this question. What percentage of accidents happen because of distracted driving? Kind of answering the question I just said, So the data set tells us that it gives a percentage of people who were not distracted. What percentage of accidents happen because they are distracted? And then another one is, do insurance premiums have anything to do with the rate of fatal accidents? So maybe people, if they're paying more for their insurance premiums, are more likely to be safer drivers than people who don't. Maybe we could look at something like that. And finally, this is the other question I wanted to ask. So in which states do the most drivers encounter fatal accidents? So go into that second column in our data set. Might be kind of easy to do. But yeah, these are the questions that I'm asking. Once again, I encourage you to ask your own. Some of these may fall in line with what you already want to know, but it's important to know that your analysis is going to be different from mine if you're asking different questions. Okay, so I just want to invite you guys to kind of ask your own questions before you start analyzing this data set. That's going to be very key to drawing an effective analysis. In the next few videos, what we're going to cover is visualizations and using Tableau and coming up with a dashboard that we can use and show people.